Today, I'm going to introduce you to Raven. Raven is my sister in Christ. Raven is a staff member at Piedmont Women's Center, and Raven was one of our clients. I met her for the very first time at Night for Life in 2021, and you're going to see today what I saw in her that night. There's just something special about Raven.
When I was 13 years old, my life changed for the worse. I actually realized that I was pregnant. I found out at middle school, and I was in the 8th grade, and I actually went to my teacher and told her that I thought I was pregnant, and I entrusted in her to be able to get me a pregnancy test. So the next day she gave me a pregnancy test, and I went in the bathroom, and I just remember sitting there in the stall looking at a pregnancy test saying positive, and my heart just dropped. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what my parents would think. I went to my teacher, and automatically she told me that I needed to go to my mom because she couldn't pay for me to get an abortion. She didn't talk to me about keeping the baby. She didn't talk to me about any type of options I had. It was an automatic abortion type option. So I went to my mom and told her, and she got me a pregnancy test as well. And once she found out it was positive, she said I would have to be the one to tell my dad. And to me, that was the hardest thing for me because, me being the only daughter, I felt like I disappointed my dad. And again, there was no options. It was, we have to get this handled. So I remember my mom vaguely telling me that, hey, just make sure you don't wear anything that has any type of labels, and we're going to the abortion clinic. So then we went there, and it happened. And I didn't know anything that was going on. I just felt like I was in trouble. I felt like that I was a failure, even just at 13. So after everything was handled then, it was getting swept under the rug. We didn't talk about it. And that was it. So fast forward years later, I'm 19. I'm a newly United States Marine. I just went to my new duty station in Japan, and come to find out I was faced with the same situation that I had when I was 13, that I was pregnant again. And all of that shame, all of that guilt came rushing back to me, and I felt like, wow, you have done this again. And my automatic thinking was, where can I get an abortion? And at the time, I didn't know Jesus. I thought he was just a man. I felt like God had punished me throughout my life because of my abortion at 13. So I didn't have any type of beliefs. I didn't grow up in a Christian type household. We went to church and everything sometimes. But I never had a relationship with Jesus Christ. So I had entrusted in another Marine to be able to take me to the abortion clinic in Japan, and went with the same procedure. And that guilt was with me the whole time of me being throughout my 20s. And I felt like everybody knew, even though I didn't really know if they knew or not. But I felt like I was, again, a failure. And how could this happen? How could, I'm older now. And then it was my decision too. So all of that together made me feel like I wasn't competent to be able to even be a good person. And I held on to all of that throughout my life. So again, fast forward even later, I came across a lady. She's actually one of my mentors. And she had posted on her Facebook about Piedmont Women's Center. She actually was a volunteer there. And she had posted about making a donation and all of that. And there was a certain amount of money that needed to be hit in order for their goal to be achieved. So then I paid that amount. And she texted me saying, "Are you sure about this amount?" And I said, yes. And I entrusted in her to be able to talk to her about my abortions, because that was my way of being okay with what happened in my past. Because every time if anybody was to mention about having an abortion or anything of the sort, I would cram up. I wouldn't say anything because all that shame would come back. It was like that hidden secret I had always had that only a certain amount of people knew about that I had to carry around throughout life. And actually, for me to back up, I actually had got saved and really gave my life over to Jesus Christ before I made this donation. So I think I was starting to be open to a new way of living. And I think God actually put my mentor in my life to be able to introduce me to Piedmont Women's Center. So a couple days later, she reached out to me saying about how Piedmont Women's Center had an abortion recovery program, and she just really felt led for me to be able to check it out. She didn't force me or anything. I was ready to be able to deal with that heartbreaking moment in my life. So I had a meeting with Marty Spurgeon. She's like the head over the abortion recovery. And when you first get there, there's like an initial meeting and all of that, and you have to fill out paperwork. And I remember going in there and looking out the window across the street, and it was the same abortion clinic that I had my first abortion when I was 13. And it all just came all back to me. I didn't back out or anything. I just felt like, wow, like this is happening. You know, years later, it's actually happening that I'm dealing with what I did. So Marty was awesome. She took me through the process. She let me know as far as in what approach did I want to go with, whether I wanted to do like the weekend program or if they have like a 6-week and all of that. And I told her, let's do the weekend program so then that way I can just get it over with. So on the first day, we had to tell our stories, which was very hard because I had never talked really out loud about it at all. And we each shared our story. And it was like a relief in the room that, okay, these are our scars. This is a comfortable environment. Nobody's judging us. Nobody is trying to course us in a certain way. Like, this is what we're doing. So another thing that I really enjoyed, even though it wasn't it was a good experience, but it was also a hard experience. And we had to deal with the fact of what we did. It wasn't any hiding about, oh, well, it's just an abortion, you know, it's okay. No, we dealt with the fact of what an abortion is. But we're going to see how Jesus Christ came into our lives to be able to clean that up because he died for us. And that shame and that guilt, we don't have to carry around because of what he did on the cross. And that's how the class partaked every day in it. And a big thing in the program that really stood out to me was at the end of it, we had a ceremony for our babies. And through that ceremony, we got to name them. And through that moment, that was the biggest thing for all of us because it was recognizing that we had children. And even though we made that mistake in our lives, whether you're in your 80s or in 19 or 15 or whatever, we were able to put our babies to rest and give them a proper ceremony. And it was such a great experience because we got to invite our family members or whoever wanted to be there. And actually through that program, I was able to reconcile that relationship with my parents. And they let me know that they didn't know what they were doing anyway. They thought it was the right thing for me in the moment. And that even brought healing in itself right there. So then I sit here today with a story from being a 13 scared little girl, didn't know what was going on, to a 19-year-old Marine just trying to be something out of life, to Jesus being able to take that nasty, bloody thing and make it into something beautiful for women to know that it's okay to come and be healed. You know, God is here for us to be able to heal and have an open arm to say we're loved. I thought God was punishing me. but he wasn't. He was there with me the whole time. And he loved me so much that he put Piedmont Women's Center in my life to be able to give me the healing that I needed. And I didn't know I needed it. And so many women need to be able to heal from that and to know that they are loved, because God is love and he wants all of his children to be loved. That's what we're all here to be able to provide. So I thank you guys for listening to my story, and I pray that through this that we continue to keep thinking about the lives of these women, whether they have got an abortion or not, just to be able to be there for them through their hurting.